Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share maybe some symptoms that they noticed when they were very stressed out?
Your heart rate go up, your blood pressure is up, and then you just frustrated. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know, and then sometimes your body act a different way because you don't really know what's going on with the body.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. Exactly. I had a friend who she was planning like this really elaborate, huge wedding. And when you plan weddings, like it's just drama all around most of the time, not all the time. And she was like having headaches and she was vomiting and she was going to the doctor and no one could figure out like, there were no medical issues that could explain like why she was having these headaches, why she was vomiting all the time. And finally, she went to a specialist, and the specialist, did this very thorough history and asked her questions and found out that not only was she planning this wedding, but she was in school, she was getting her master's degree. And so it was just a lot of stress. She was going through a lot of stress, and her body responded by having these headaches and vomiting. Right. And so, again, it's very important that you're in tune with what's going on in your life and your body to be able to communicate if you notice changes like that. Because she was able to be persistent with her medical providers who at first couldn't figure out why she was, having headaches and vomiting. And a very good provider will ask you the right questions and get to the bottom of, what may be causing these symptoms. And in her case, it was stress from the wedding and being in school and all of that. Okay. All right. So now we're going to move into some tips for managing our stress, okay? Because we all handle stress differently, our symptoms may present differently as well. So, for example, one person who's stressed out might experience issues such as stomach aches, vomiting, and headaches, whereas another person who's stressed out might experience sleeplessness, sadness, or irritability. Over time, ongoing bad stress can lead to long term health conditions like heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, anxiety, right? And all of these diseases and disorders tend to be prevalent in people of color, right? And so it's no coincidence that people of color who may suffer oppression and racism and, all these things that are sometimes stacked against us, it's no coincidence that then we have higher levels of stress and then higher levels of these medical conditions, right? Because this is how our body is responding to stress over time. So that's what we're going to talk about, how to manage this bad stress. So, some tips for managing stress. One thing, as I already mentioned, is to be observant. Recognize the signs of your body's response to stress, such as difficulty sleeping, maybe increased alcohol or other substance use, being easily angered, feeling depressed, having low energy, right? You may notice if you drink, for example, if you drink alcohol, you may just drink on social occasions, right? Maybe a birthday, something like that. But now you notice your alcohol intake's increasing. It's not just on holidays, it's not just on the weekends. Now you're drinking every night and you're drinking a lot, right? And you may not realize that the stress is causing you to drink this much, right? We can usually pinpoint why you started drinking so heavily, what's going on in your life. We can usually pinpoint it to an experience or a situation that was a trigger for your stress. And so that's very important to explore with your medical provider. Okay. As I mentioned, having low energy, feeling depressed, you may think, oh, I'm just tired. Maybe I have a cold or flu, right? COVID's going around. You may associate these things with just things that are naturally happening, but it's very important to be attuned. Like, is it going on for months? It's not just the cold. If you're feeling low energy, depressed, right, things like that for months, that's typically indicative of a bigger issue, stress, for example. Okay. Another thing we can do to manage our stress is to exercise. We've all heard this, but the reason we hear it so often is because it's true. If you exercise for just 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day of walking, running, lifting weights, something that kind of gets your adrenaline pumping and your heart rate up, if you do this for just 30 minutes a day, you can boost your mood and improve your health. The weather's getting nicer. You know, you don't need any fancy workout equipment. You don't need an expensive gym membership. You can walk around your neighborhood for free, go to a park for free, right? You can exercise in your own home, right? Put on a workout video on YouTube or, you know, Netflix or something like that, and work out. In 30 minutes a day, if you do this for about 30 days, you'll see a big improvement in your mental health. Eating a balanced diet. This is another one that we hear all the time, and there's reason for it because it works. Okay. When we are sad, depressed, even anxious, we tend to eat our emotions. Okay. This is called emotional eating. And when we reach for those high fat, high sugar foods like chips, cookies, right? Those types of things that make us feel good, it provides a temporary sense of relief, but it adds to our long-term stress. Because when you're eating foods like chips and cookies, right, it causes a spike in your blood sugar. And then when your blood sugar crashes, you're going to experience more stress, more anxiety. Consuming a healthy diet can help you combat stress over the long haul. And some specific foods that we recommend: eggs, avocados, walnuts. These are specific foods that support mood regulation and energy balance. And there's more, right? But these are just some simple things. If you're at work, right, and you're stressed out, if you just have a little baggie of walnuts and you just, you know, snack on those, it can really help regulate your mood. Okay. In the morning, right? Eat some eggs. Again, that's a way to start your day off, get those nutrients into your body so that your mood is regulated and your stress levels are down. Okay. Another thing that you can do is try a relaxing activity. There's many activities you can do, and we're about to do one in just a second. But exploring relaxation or wellness programs that incorporate meditation, muscle relaxation, or breathing exercises, these are really good to incorporate into your day to day. You should schedule regular times for these activities and other healthy, relaxing activities. So, for example, if you meditate, okay, if you take 10 minutes out of your day, okay, there's 24 hours in a day. I don't know how many minutes that is, but there's 24 hours in a day. If you take 10 minutes and you just sit and you meditate, you block everything out, you get in a comfortable position, you clear your thoughts, right? You can listen to calming music, you can light some incense, burn a candle, right? Just get yourself into this calm state. A lot of people like to start their day off with meditation, or they like to end their day with meditation. Really, you can do it at any point during the day, right? On your lunch break, anytime you're feeling stressed out. But that's one thing that we recommend to do. Another thing is deep breathing. When we talked about that stress response, you notice that your breath gets faster. You know, you're not taking in as much oxygen as you need to get that nice full breath that is recommended for healthy living. Okay. So one of the things that you can do to kind of bring your breathing back down, slow it down, is a deep breathing activity. So we're going to try a deep breathing activity now. If you could all get in a comfortable position and make sure that we're muted so that everyone can hear the instructions. Is everyone muted? Okay, thank you. Okay, so everyone, if you're in a comfortable position, we're gonna take 3 deep, relaxing breaths. I'm gonna count us out for 3 breaths. I want you to make sure that as you're inhaling, you're taking a very deep breath and you're holding it for 3 seconds. And then you're gonna exhale very slowly for 3 seconds as well, okay? And we're gonna do this 3 times. So take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do it again. Take a very deep breath. 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Exhale slowly. 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do it again one last time. Take a deep breath. Inhale in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Exhale slowly, 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now that just took a few seconds to do, right? You could do that for 10 cycles. You could do that for 2 minutes. Whenever you feel yourself getting agitated, worked up, stressed out, angry, all you have to do is pause, take a few minutes, deep breathe, get your thoughts clear, get your breathing where it's deep and not shallow and rushed, right? That's what we're trying to do when we practice this exercise. And this is something you could do anywhere, and no one even has to know you're doing it, right? If you're in a stressful situation, you could turn your back and just take a couple of deep breaths. If you're at work, people are stressing you out, you can go in the office, go in the break room, wherever you need to go, right? And do this. So I like these deep breathing exercises because they're quick and they're easy to do. You don't need any fancy equipment. It's just something, if you have in your toolbox right up here, you can just pull it out and do it. So does anyone want to share how they felt after that deep breathing activity? I know it was quick, but did anyone notice anything? No?
Yeah, I was felt relaxed, you know what I'm saying? It made me feel, you know what I'm saying, a little bit of relief, you know what I'm saying, from my stressful, you know what I'm saying, day to day. But I like to exercise. I like to meditate like that sometimes too. Cause you know, it's just making me feel a little better, especially when I'm alone and I don't hear no noise. I really love that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So let's move on to some other tips. Okay. Another thing you can do is to set goals and priorities, right? Decide what must get done now and what can wait. A lot of times, we have a lot to do, we have a lot of responsibilities. We don't really know where to start, right? We can feel overwhelmed with all the pressures and the deadlines, responsibilities. Set goals, set priorities. What really must get done now and what can wait until another time, okay? Learn to say no, right? A lot of times we feel like we have to say no to we have to say yes to our families, our kids, our friends, right? And we're saying yes, 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 and we're taking on all this responsibility, and we forget that we need to take care of ourselves. It's okay to say no, okay? Be mindful of what you've accomplished at the end of the day. So if you have a really large to-do list, if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed and you feel like you're not really making headway, you're not making progress, really take inventory. At the end of the day, sit down and say, okay, what did I accomplish? And you'll find that most of the time, even if you did some little things, like that's progress, right? You did accomplish some things. So don't just, feel overwhelmed by what you feel you haven't done. Recognize and acknowledge the things that you have done. Okay. Another thing you can do is create a support system, especially now with COVID, right? We're very distanced, like literally distanced from people that we love. We're not able to do a lot of the things that we used to do to bring us joy and happiness. So it's important to create a support system in the absence of those things. Okay. You're not alone, right? We can keep in touch with people who provide us emotional support and practical help. To reduce stress, ask for help from family, friends, community, or religious organizations. Okay. Physical touch is a very important thing. Okay. It helps us to reduce stress. When we hug someone, the body releases a hormone called oxytocin, and this is shown to cause a reduction in blood pressure. Okay. So there's a reason why when we're stressed out or we're sad and someone hugs us, we feel better. There's a reason, right? Because we're literally releasing this hormone called oxytocin that makes us feel better. Okay, it's another name for oxytocin. It's called the cuddle hormone. Okay, so it's real and it does help. So don't be afraid to ask someone for a hug. Make sure you have on your mask and all that good stuff. But hugs, they help. It's good not only for you, the person who might need it, but it's also good for the other person because they're also receiving that physical touch. Okay. And then a big one that's very tricky to do in this age where everything is virtual, everything's online because of the coronavirus, but unplugging and disconnecting, okay? Everything we do now, almost everything we do is virtual, right? Our meetings, classes, whatever we're doing, it seems to have gone online. And that's a way for us to stay in touch, but it's also a way for us to feel like we're connected all the time in a bad way. Okay. A lot of our business now that it's conducted online, it's important to remember that it is okay to disconnect sometimes, right? If you're on Zoom all day long for this meeting, this workshop, this, it can be overwhelming, right? Being on the phone all day, spending increased time on social media, watching the constant news cycle, right? Especially when there's like big events. Like I remember the election, I literally was watching the news for like 24 hours, like, right? It was just this constant, like, gotta stay glued, gotta scroll my phone and see what CNN is saying. And that's not good for our mental health, right? Because we're gonna be stressed out. When they didn't call the election results like that night, I'm stressed out, right? And so constantly being on the news cycle, constantly online is not good for us. It's important to limit the amount of time we spend online. And it's okay if there's a workshop, for example, that you really want to attend. It's okay to check, hey, is this going to be recorded? Maybe I can watch it at another time, right? Things like that are okay to do. We don't need to be online all the time. So these are some very simple, very practical tips that we can incorporate into our daily lives. There are many more, and maybe we can do a part two another time. But we only had an hour today, so I wanted to just give some very brief, concise tips that we can use. And I want to open it up right now to anyone if they have questions, right? The informational part of this workshop is finished. We have about 20 minutes. If anyone has any personal questions, they want to share or pose to the group, I'm happy to answer those questions before I move on to the final portion of the presentation, which is just some resources and how, if you feel you're experiencing stress, what some next steps are for you. Maybe you've tried all these tips and you need maybe a higher level of care. So if anyone has any questions, we can go ahead and move to that.
Yes, it's John again. So if somebody's, you know what I'm saying, say for instance, like I'm arguing with my spouse and she's stressing me out so bad, my head get to hurting and stuff like that. So what's the best thing to do?
You said if you're arguing with your spouse, for example, what's the best thing to do?
Yeah, because she's stressing me out and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? And my head hurting and all that stuff. I'm like, oh man, my blood pressure boiling. So what would you say the best thing to do for that?
Well, that's what spouses are for, to stress us out, right? Like, what other point is there to have? No, I'm just kidding.
Not
So,
tired of being stressed out.
yeah, so in a situation like that, where there's a number of things you could do, right? If it's something that's happening all the time, maybe think about couples counseling, right? Like, what is the cause of your stress? Are you guys arguing about specific things? Maybe it's how you guys are communicating with each other, right? Maybe you just need some professional help to sit down and really pinpoint like what's going on in this relationship that we seem to always be arguing. Okay, so that's one thing. Just seeking professional help to get you guys on the same page, figure out what's going on in your relationship that will cause you to be stressed out. Another thing, a lot of times when we're, arguing with someone or we're in a disagreement with someone, we tend to always feel like we have to respond. We have to respond, right? Like, or we're in that fight or fight mode. In that fight mode, they say something, then you want to say something back, right? We don't have to respond. It's okay to say, you know what? Let me take a break. You can argue with yourself. I'm going to take, 10 minutes, whatever it is, an hour, a day, whatever it is you need to cool off. Think about what that person's saying, because a lot of times they may really have a valid point, but how they're saying it could be what's triggering us to be upset, right? And so we may need to step back just before we even respond to what that person is saying, step back, cool off, have some time to think. And a lot of time, well, I won't say a lot of time, but sometimes you might find like that person has a point. You can see where they're coming from, but because you were so riled up and agitated and irritated by how they were saying it, or perhaps what they said offended you, or you just weren't sure how to take it, that's what causes our stress levels to go up. So it could be something simple as just saying, you know what, let's not talk about this right now. Set a time to talk, right? Can we talk about this later on? You know, maybe tomorrow, let's go to dinner. Set a time where you are going to be of a cooler mind to talk about it. Those are just some things off the top of my head that I can think of. Yeah, that I've used, in my own personal life that really do help.
Yeah, I appreciate that information right there, cause like a lot of times I just jump in my car and just be like, you know what, I'm gone, and then I just go take me a cruise somewhere, listen to some soft music, and just free my mind.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like you already have stress management techniques that you utilize, right? Sometimes that is all you need to do. Hop in the car, put the windows down, let some cold air blow on you, right? Put on your music and just detach from the situation and think, right? And just cool yourself off. Because when you do that, you're bringing your heart rate down, right? All that stuff we talked about. You're de escalating yourself so that you don't do something that maybe you regret. You're not constantly in this state of like agitation and arousal that's not good for your health. Any other questions? We sure? Don't be shy.
All
I
right,
have a
so
question.
what about when your kids stress you out? Then how you saw that?
You
That's
said
what I was
what?
gonna
What?
ask.
You said what if a kid stresses you out?
I mean, I got three little girls at home, and they be a handful sometimes. I got 1 year old, 3 year old, 5 year old. I don't know. Sometimes I mean, they just kids, but sometimes they get on your nerves.
Oh, don't I know? Yes, I know all about that. And so, I mean, the same thing with kids, right? You can't like just get in the car and leave them, right? When they're stressing you out. But it could be, hey, why don't you go play? Daddy needs to take a little break. Something like that, just a few minutes. You obviously want to keep the kids safe. You don't want to leave them unattended, right? But same thing, right? Take some deep breaths. All of the things we mentioned are things that you can do. You just have to kind of modify it to make sure the kids are taken care of under your supervision. Another thing too with kids is to really just remember that they're kids and they're feeding off of your response to things, right? They don't, sometimes they know better, but they don't always know better, right? They're learning the coping skills that we as adults already have learned. So they're watching us, right? That's why they're able to pick up on things that they'll say something, you be like, where'd you hear that? Right? And it's because they heard it from us. So they're really watching and paying attention. So we have to make sure that we're modeling appropriate behavior for them, so that they learn, not only what annoys their parents, right? And they will pick up on that, what annoys their parents, but also when they get to be of an age where they can better regulate themselves, they're able to do so. Okay, so remembering that they're kids, right, and they don't always know how to express their emotions. So when they're hungry, when they're tired, when they're angry, like they're gonna cry, right? They're gonna act out, and that's what kids do because they don't always have the words and the vocabulary to express themselves. So we have to really just be patient with them and teach them, instead of them throwing a tantrum or instead of, them fighting or things like that, we have to teach them the appropriate responses. And that's going to help us in the long run, right? As parents, it's going to help us if we teach them. Um, it's going to take a little time. They're not going to catch on the first time, first couple of times, but after a while, when we teach them the appropriate behaviors, it's going to pay off because then they'll start responding to that and we're going to be less stressed. Did I thought I heard someone else maybe asking a question. Did you want to ask again?
Abir, I thought that I saw you go off of mute and start asking something.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Okay, so I learned so many different things on here today, and uh, learning to say no. Okay, so I work at a non-for-profit, and it takes a lot of my time. And how do you, like, for work, when work stresses you out, but you need the job, what do you do? You can't just say, I'm not going to come and stop. How do people manage their stress from work? I know the hours of work. I know everybody's probably stressed out from work, but
Yeah, so
what's the best
work,
advice you could give for that?
absolutely. So work is a huge stressor, right? Aside from family, right? Like whatever's going on in your household, you spend the most time at work, right? And so, of course, if you're in an environment that stresses you out or puts a lot of pressure on you, right? Or whatever the dynamics are, it's only natural that it's going to cause you stress if the environment is not right. So, no, we're not always in a position to just maybe quit our job or walk out or not show up. So some things that we can do, I don't know, maybe you have a relationship with your supervisor, where you can go and have that one-on-one and say, look, this is what I'm experiencing. I'd really like to keep my job, but these are the things that I need in order to make this work environment um, a pleasant one, a practical one. Now, that may not always work, right? You may not have a supervisor who you can go to. You may not have a supervisor who's going to be understanding or compassionate, and that's, another story. But that's the first step. Two, really, truly, if your work environment is toxic and it's stressful, you should consider getting another job because, as I just said, we spend so much time with our jobs. You don't want this to be a constant and daily thing that you're experiencing where you're in this constant state of fight or flight, right? You don't want that for yourself. And so it's important to have another job lined up, right? Interview, apply, do what you need to do to make sure you're taken care of financially. But if a work environment is that toxic, no, it's not recommended to stay because it's going to cause that stress level to just increase. And as we've mentioned, this is not a good thing. Other things that you can do while you're at work, right? All the breathing techniques, the meditation. If you can just take 5 minutes out of your day, again, on it could be your lunch break, between clients, between meetings. If you can do that for just 5 minutes, whenever you feel yourself being elevated, that helps. It's a short-term solution until you're able to, find a different job that better fits, your emotional needs. But it is a solution that kind of can get you through the day. And I will say, working for nonprofits, we tend to do so much for other people, right? Because this is the type of work we love. We love helping the community. We love helping other people. But if we're not taking care of ourselves, how good are we? How much of a benefit are we to the work that we do? So it's very important, especially working in a nonprofit, that we're taking care of ourselves, right? And keeping our stress levels down so that, again, we can model that for the communities that we work for.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take some time off. That's what I'm going to do. And the
Oh,
breathing
yeah, that's a
techniques,
good
I
one.
really think that the breathing techniques will probably, I never really tried that.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me because I do normally recommend that, right? When I'm working with
Breathing.
clients, is take if you have time off, take it,
Yeah.
right? Like don't
Mhm.
let those days accumulate. If you have vacation time, sick time, you have it so you can use it, right? Don't let those days over years you say, wow, I have a month of vacation that I never took. Take those days. That's what they're for.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other questions? We have a few minutes left. And if you don't have questions now, you might have questions that you think of later. Definitely, I'm available to do a part two, get a little more in depth with this. So if you're shy, if you can't think of anything now, save those questions, and we'll schedule a part two. But if there are no other questions, let me leave you with this resource. So as I mentioned, you are the first resource to determining your body's response to stress, okay? After trying the tips I mentioned, if you feel your stress level is still heightened or unmanageable, it's time to talk to a health professional. Here at Iman, we have both medical and behavioral health providers who can help you manage your stress. Our medical providers may be able to prescribe you a low dose medication or suggest dietary changes that can help with your stress. And our behavioral health providers, such as our therapists, can meet with you for counseling to help you identify the source of your stress and strategize around healthy coping skills. If you'd like to speak with someone from our team, it's as easy as calling our clinic and setting up an appointment. We're offering at this moment both telehealth and virtual sessions as well as in-person visits. Okay, so if you find that it's easier for you to connect via your computer or your phone, we have that available. If you prefer to come in and talk to someone one-on-one for, again, that human connection, we also have that. If you like or follow our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages, and I have it listed up here, our handle is at Iman Central. We also regularly post updates for our followers with wellness tips and resources. You may have seen, I don't know, maybe you saw me last week. I just shared some information about why you should come in, some different scenarios that we can help with in our behavioral health clinic for therapy, right? Anger management, substance abuse, stress management, marital issues, family issues, right? Those are all things that our therapists here can help with. So follow our pages and we'll be sharing regular tips and updates that can help you. Maybe you know, are scrolling social media, even though you should be disconnected, but maybe you're scrolling social media and you see something that could help you in that moment. So thank you so much for your attention and your participation today. I hope this information was helpful and that we'll be seeing some of you in our clinic. I myself provide therapy. We have other very skilled and talented therapists here who are just excited to be working with you all. So if there's anything that you need, the contact information is here. Please schedule an appointment. We are happy to start working with you. Any questions, closing comments? Sada, did you want to add anything?
Oh, thank you, Shannon, for that presentation and leading us through that and giving us some, practical tips that we could use, in our day to day. I also want to thank, all of you for joining us today. I mean, the plan for us is to continue to do sessions like this around stress, around, other chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, things that are really, hitting, the neighborhood really hard, right? And that, and figuring out ways that we can continue to provide folks with, resources to be able to just like manage whatever, they might be trying to navigate themselves or kind of within the family. And so when it comes to, potentially a part 2, I did see some interest in the chat. Just want to get a general sense too, are folks interested in a follow-up session around like stress management and maybe like a little bit of a deeper dive around some of these areas and some of these management tips? Like, can I just get a sense, are folks interested in that?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm interested.
I'm interested.
Okay. Great. So I think we'll take that back and put something together maybe within the next few weeks. If there are specifics, like if you have specifics related to stress that you would like to hear more about and that you'd like to kind of hear Shannon maybe go a little bit deeper in, please let me know. Right, let me know, and then we can work to put something together. Also, if there are other areas around health, if there's other health related areas that you would like to kind of learn more about, be in conversation around, also please let me know, because we want to just really make sure that, our health center, as an organization, that we're really responding to, what needs are out there, what you and your families might really benefit from just as we're navigating this pandemic, as, we're navigating life with COVID, but also just as we're navigating like life, post-COVID, right? We still want to make sure that, everybody has the types of tools and resources that, that we all need in order to be like the best and healthiest versions of ourselves.
Right.
Great. So I think, so again, thank you everybody for coming out, and looking forward to seeing you all soon.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Try one technique today. Out of all the ones we discussed, just try one today and see if you can incorporate it today. Then work it into your schedule a little bit every day and see if that helps.
All right. Thanks a lot.
We can reach Shannon at Iman.
What did you say?
Thank you. It was a good presentation.
We can reach you, Shannon, at Iman.
Yes. Yep. I'm one of the therapists here. Absolutely.
And through you, Sarah.
Yeah. So definitely, Mama Hood, if you, I can connect you directly with Shannon if that's okay. I can help make that connection.
Yeah, because we had like this little broadcast reaching out to the community at the church. And I would love for her to come if she can, not only to speak to the congregation, but the community, period, that tunes in.
Great. So why don't I'll loop the three of us in together and maybe, we could figure out what works.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to part 2. I apologize for not, for being in and out. I'm at work.
No worries. No worries.
I'm actually at work. I just took a little break to come and sit. So I am glad that it's being recorded because I will be going back.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll definitely send this out to everybody. Once we finish, we'll send the link out.
Awesome.
All right. I think we're good to go. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you all soon.
Thank you.